What's up, everybody? This is Harry Bernard Taylor with my man Christopher Burton, and today on the Straight Up Wrestling Show podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about his start in wrestling and what actually brought him into wrestling, what actually made him like wrestling, and what kept him watching, what kept him interested, kept him interested in it. Chris, could you tell me a little bit about how you started, man? The first match that you saw and what actually turned you on?
Man, the first match that I can actually remember, man, it was a Saturday night, Channel 4. It was basically the Iron Sheik and Hulk Hogan match, man. That was the one that caught me. That match right there, man, it really, I don't know, man. I knew about the Iron Sheik, and I knew he was basically a bad guy and everything, and Hulk Hogan, this was back in the days of when he was playing Eye of the Tiger for a theme song back in them days, and everything. And I watched that match, man, and it was just like, wow, these guys are larger than life, man. And it seemed like Hogan just couldn't be beat at the time, and Sheik, well, I knew he just needed to be, taken down a peg, and I didn't know if anybody could do it because just a couple of years before, he took out Bob Backlund. And Bob Backlund didn't quit till Arnold Skolin Skolin threw in the towel. And that was the only way he could beat Bob Backlund. If not, Bob Backlund still probably be in the camel clutch right now.
Around how old were you at this time? Do you remember?
Man, I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, man.
Yeah, because that was 84.
Yeah, I was about 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah. So you probably was a little older than I were when I first started. I think I started. Well, actually, I started watching it a little earlier because I had an older brother that was watching wrestling.
Yeah, man. And it was crazy, too, because I was supposed to be in bed and everything. And I'm up there staying up all late hours of the night trying to sneak and watch wrestling, man. Because, back then, wrestling used to come on, like, late. It used to come on around about the time Saturday Night Live would come on.
Right.
They would alternate every so many Saturdays.
Right.
So I would literally be like, okay, Saturday Night Main Event coming on. Okay, soon as Saturday Night Live go up, they should be coming on.
Yeah,
they never came on.
Right, and that incident actually that Madison Square Garden event is what actually led to the main event. Yeah. Actually led to I think it was NBC. I'm not sure if it was NBC or CBS, but I think it was NBC.
NBC, yeah.
That's what actually led to NBC giving Vince that time slot.
Yeah.
To alternate sometime when Saturday Night Live will come on. I mean, so they put wrestling on instead of that because that first show that they done, that was the first show that they had done on NBC. They put in prime time, and it did such a big rating. Yeah. So with that combined with
and I remember it was crazy too because they didn't even show the whole card, man. They just showed that particular match.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know what happened before that. I just remember cutting it on and boom, those two were right there. And then later on, I started watching NWA, Rock and Roll Express, Ric Flair, Nikita, Magnum, Dusty, and all them. On Saturdays and Sundays, and catching them at the auditorium every once in a while. My aunt used to take me every Christmas. And if they were in town, doing like a tour or something like that, like a pay-per-view. Well, it wasn't pay-per-view then, but like a Great American Bash tour or Starcade tour, and they would come into town.
Right.
I might be able to, talk my aunt to go on something like that. And I remember it was a Great American Bash tour. I'll never forget. You had in the auditorium, if you ever been there during that time, you remember they had two separate locker rooms.
Yeah.
One for the good guys, one for the bad guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I remember the Lightning, we were in the balcony right above the Babyface's locker rooms. And it was so crazy because I remember the Lightning Express, Tim Horner and
Brad Armstrong.
Brad Armstrong, yeah. They had came out to wrestle somebody, I can't remember who it was. And like I said, I was just a kid, man. I remember I was sitting next to some kids, and we was hollering and screaming at them. They wouldn't look at us. They wouldn't look up at us. So one of the kids, I remember, threw an ice cube or a piece of popcorn or something at him and hit him. He looked over. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" We're like, "Yeah," And then I remember we left the show, and the coolest thing one thing I remember, and I wish I could have seen them, but I didn't. But one thing I remember, the Four Horsemen had a particular style limousine. It was a black limousine, had a red and gray pinstripe going down the side of it.
Oh, okay.
I remember that vividly because I remember seeing it on Crockett TV and down in Atlanta and the promos and all that. So we were leaving the show. Obviously, everybody, we were going out the backside of the arena.
Right.
Out the backside. And sitting right there on the backside was the Four Horsemen's limousine. And it was so crazy because I don't even remember them being in the building.
Right.
Because I don't even, they might have been there, but they wasn't on the card.
Yes.
Because, sometimes you still have to be there even though you're not doing nothing, you still have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the limousine. I was like, "What? The Horsemen were here. Ric Flair was here. Where was he at?" And I was just, oh man, that was just crazy because I just remember seeing that limousine.
Right.
And everybody was like, "Oh, that's the Horsemen's limousine." Everybody knew it, and we were up there trying to peek in and see what we could see.
Oh yes.
And we couldn't see nothing, man. Them windows were like midnight black.
Right.
And but yeah, that was some cool stuff, and we got to see the Road Warriors. Like I said, we was right above their locker room. And the Road Warriors came out and they beat up some po guys. I think they might have been wrestling Nikita and Ivan.
Right.
That match might have been 10, 15 minutes. And, it was.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Road Warriors, Ivan, Nikita at that time. And the Road Warriors had just returned from the AWA, which they was the AWA World Champions. And they had returned back to Jim Crockett Promotions. That's when Ivan and Nikita, I think, was the champions. The
6-man tag
for a while, and they had the 6-man tag team titles. And then at that time, so you had the Road Warriors going back and winning those titles. But yeah, that was an exciting time, and so you actually came in, and to me, I mean, you can sit there. I mean, we can sit and talk about the Attitude Era, probably. Which I know Michael, our partner Michael King, he looks at that as the greatest era in wrestling. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. But between 84 and 87, 88, that golden age of era, era of wrestling probably was just as strong, if not stronger, because
now I ain't gonna lie, man, I was kind of hurt. Because the Road Warriors didn't have on the shoulder pads when they came out, man.
Oh, okay,
I was like, oh man, I heard and this was back when they wasn't doing the What a Rush thing. That was the WWF days.
Oh, okay.
They were coming out to
Iron Man.
Yes. Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath.
Right.
They were coming out to that. And I was like, I heard, and I was like, oh man, the Road Warriors coming out.
Right.
And as soon as my head, I'm thinking, oh, they gonna come out with them shoulder pads, man, and spikes. Oh yeah. And they come out with some wristbands and them hand spikes. I'm like, boo! I was so mad.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because I wanted to see the shoulder pads, man. They came out. I was like, come on, really,
yeah.
Guys? I'm like, much as y'all been to Greenville, y'all couldn't wear the shoulder pads at least once. Come on, man. But
man, that could have been just a day. It was just a day that you ended up going when they actually forgot and left them in the hotel or something like that, or left them in the trunk of the car. It was time for them to come out, and it just happens. It's just like saying when you go to church, man, and this pastor that you done heard about, and then you get to the church, and next thing you know, people say, "Oh, he's not here this week." So you don't get to see that person. Yeah, so that's exactly what happened to you on that night.
Now one thing I remember too, I actually got to work with this guy, the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant. I got to work with him because he's come down to a local promotion here in town a time or two, and it was back on a Christmas show.
Mm-hmm.
And we had ringside seats, man. We had ringside seats. I'm like literally up on the guardrail. Ringside seats, Christmas show. And the Christmas shows did pretty good because the roster got split between Greenville and Atlanta.
Yes.
Obviously, the bigger names went to Atlanta because there was more money.
Yes.
I get it. Boogie Woogie Man wrestled some guy. I don't know who he was. And it was a pretty about 10, 15-minute match. It was pretty long for Boogie Woogie.
Right.
And because if you saw him on TV, he had quick matches on
yeah,
TV.
he'd come out, man. He just ran. He was pretty much a prelude, man, to like say Ultimate Warrior without the muscles.
Exactly,
I mean, he would just come out there and just squash people real quick, man. And, acting the fool, man, doing all that, motion with his arms and his legs and everything, just wiggling. And I mean, nobody could stop him, man.
And I remember this one spot in the match, man. Boogie beat the guy down pretty bad, and he was hyping up the crowd like, oh yeah, clapping his hands, and everybody going crazy. Dude was like, okay, I'm gonna get you. He had his back turned, started reaching his tights, pulled out some brass knuckles.
Oh wow!
And now, when I say brass knuckles, it's not like the brass knuckles y'all thinking about. It was like basically like tape on his knuckles.
Oh, okay.
You remember that?
Yeah,
man.
I remember that. Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, that ain't no brass knuckles. Yeah. Tape wrapped around his hands, man. That ain't no brass knuckles.
But yeah, that's what they used to say all the time. Brass knuckles. I'd be like, I'm looking for the brass knuckles, man.
That look like he just wrapped some tape around his hand, man.
Yeah.
So he up there, the dude getting ready to knock him out. Everybody's like, Boogie, turn around. He got brass knuckles. And Boogie was like, what? He got what? And he turned around like, hey, check him. And the dude was like, I ain't got nothing. So they did that about 3 or 4 times, man. And the 5th time, man, now you gotta think, he did that about 4 times in a row. He heard everybody in the crowd always turned around.
Right.
And the dude was like, I ain't got nothing. The 5th time now, for some odd reason, Boogie couldn't hear a word we said. It was hilarious, man. We like, turn around. I'm just a little kid, too. Everybody in the crowd like, turn around, they got some nuggets. He's like, what? What, he got what? He got, huh? What he got? I'm like, man, you ain't heard us all these other times. Now you can't hear us. I'm like, really? And then he turned around and whap. That dude gets him. And Boogie actually ended up losing the match.
That was Bugsy McGraw who knocked him out, man.
I couldn't remember who it was.
It was one of Paul Jones' guys. He was in Paul Jones' army. It was Bugsy McGraw. I was there that night, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Because I went every Monday night. I remember that. And Boogie Woogie just laid out. Yeah. And that used to happen all the time. Man, anytime they came to Greenville, Boogie Woogie Man Valiant, he would win the match or whatever. And usually he was wrestling Paul Jones guys or Gary Hart's guys. And
it wasn't none of the big name guys usually until they got on TV or something like that.
Right. And sometimes the biggest names he probably wrestled in Greenville was like he wrestled against Pez Watley. Which was called Shaska Watley at that time. Yeah. He wrestled him a couple times, man. I think he did get Paul Jones in like a specialty match on a Christmas show. That came down here because they used to actually come down here every Christmas. He would get Paul Jones in that, and I think he had got Gary Hart in one of those matches. But pretty much when you're younger and stuff like that, you're not going to remember those as much as you remember their actual wrestlers who they put in there. And like I said, Jimmy Valiant was like, he was basically a main event guy. Because he was so huge. I mean, he was way over with the fans. But they used to put him in mid-card matches. They didn't put him against anybody real big. You didn't see him going against the Nikita Koloff.
Or Ric Flair.
Or Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard. You didn't see Jimmy Valiant going against those guys. Except for, like, say, you might see him on TV wrestle one of them.
And then if he was like something like with Dusty Rhodes or Magnum or something like that.
Yeah.
Then you would see him going against Ric Flair and Tully and all them guys.
Right.
But they would always tease it, though. They would always like, Tully would come out, oh, Boogie, Jimmy Valiant, I heard you were looking for me, and da-da-da-da.
Right.
It's going to happen. But we rarely saw it unless it was like at the Omni or something like that.
Right.
Where the money was right.
Yes, because, he pretty much, I feel they outside of the story of him and his feud with some of these managers like Hart and Paul Jones, man, they felt like they didn't really have to build anything with them.
No, they didn't.
I mean, anybody that he went after, man, that was heat built.
Man.
It didn't matter if he got upset. I mean, he could get mad at Charlie Fulton. Some wrestler that wasn't worth anything.
And I've been watching on Peacock, man, watching some of those old matches, man. He would go around and be kissing on Tony Schiavone and stuff.
Oh, wow, man.
I remember one of the episodes, man. He was coming out to the ring, high-fiving everybody on TV. Man, some black woman in the crowd, he laid a kiss on her, man.
Yeah, he used to do that, man. That was him.
This Joker here, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that was okay back in the 80s.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
It wasn't no Me Too and all that going on.
Right.
It was a different time and era, but yeah, man, Christmas shows, man, and Monday nights at the auditorium, man. And matter of fact, Nikita, me and you, this was about a Saturday, a couple of Saturdays ago? Last Saturday. We met Nikita Koloff at a show we did up in Rock Hill, and I was actually talking to him, and he remembered the old Memorial Auditorium, man.
Yes, he should have, man. And as many times as they came.
Yeah, he remembered the auditorium.
That was in 83, 84. Crockett Promotions in 83 made more money at Greenville Memorial Auditorium than they made anywhere in the country.
That's saying something.
That's saying a lot because
you had Atlanta,
you had the
Charlotte, and Greensboro. That was in Chicago. Those were the 4 hotbeds right there.
But in Greenville wasn't nowhere near as big as the Omni.
No,
but he made more money in Greenville. Jim Cornette was talking about that. He said George Scott was the booker at the time, and he said George Scott pretty much put him in Greenville as much as he could. But it was just a hotbed for the NWA, Mid-Atlantic, but he made more money in Greenville than he ever made in 83, between 83 and 85 than he made anywhere else. Because it was just basically a sellout every time he came here. And I think it's probably merchandise too.
Matter of fact, talking about merchandise, I still have it. I gotta find it.
Yeah.
An old Rock and Roll Express bandana I got from one of the shows back in the day at the auditorium.
Yeah.
Man. And going back to Nikita, he was actually, I was talking to him and helping him set up his stuff and everything, and he basically was like, it's a shame that they didn't save it and make it a historical site.
Right.
He was like,
and they still haven't put anything on the site.
Yeah, and he was like, and Nikita, he even said, he was like, as far as I know, he even said they haven't even put nothing over there lately, or it's still empty.
It is.
And I was like, wow, so Nikita, you must have either been coming through Greenville or been around town or something.
Right.
And just
checking it out. Because it's a lot different than it was back in the 80s.
Good Lord,
as far as downtown Greenville.
But he was like, man, they could have preserved that building, made it a historical site or something.
Yeah, so many people was upset that it went down.
And he was like, man, that building... He was like, other than wrestling, he was like, I know that building had a lot of history to it.
Yes, it does.
I was like, you have no idea.
Big time.
I was like, I remember my grandfather said one time, either the textile hall or the auditorium, he went to go see James Brown at one of them two.
Yeah.
And I was like, so that's...
James Brown came to the auditorium.
So, man, that's... Man,
I mean, a lot of things that happened there, man. It was the Freebirds, I'm talking about not the Freebirds, but it was Leonard Skinner's last show. What's the name? Who was that had got killed? I think Leonard, the lead singer or whatever. Got killed out. What's the name? The guy from Kiss show. The guy fell down off the roof and died there. So it's so many things that happen at the auditorium.
Matter of fact, I still got my ticket stuff from the last WCW show at the auditorium.
Oh, wow.
I still got my ticket stuff for that. And I'll actually post it in the group, post a picture of it. Matter of fact, I'll post a picture of all my ticket stubs I've had from the first Nitro that came to Greenville. Even when they was at the old Greenville Brave Stadium, WCW used to come while they were building the Bonson Crew Wellness Arena. They used to come, and I got ticket stuff from that. I'll be posting all that.
But when it boils down to it, man, there's a lot of tragic things that happened as people left that auditorium too. Ric Flair, when the plane crash that happened with Flair and Valentine and all them on it, they was leaving the auditorium. It was out the show at the auditorium.
Oh, wow.
So, it's a lot of tragedy connected with this auditorium.
Oh, man. And one of the ones I remember, it was off a wrestling subject. It was that Heavy D concert with Heavy D, Guy. Yeah. And who else was in concert?
Salt and Pepper.
Yeah, because somebody got Teddy Riley shot somebody behind.
Oh, my God.
You remember that, don't
man.
you?
Yeah, I remember that.
Teddy Riley shot somebody behind the auditorium, man.
Yeah.
And that was a good show.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, it was a lot of amazing things there, man. A lot of great wrestling. But I think when Jim Cornette was talking about how much money they made there, is I think it's how much I think it was how much they netted. I don't think it was the gross because because if you compare. If you put the same prices from what because the Omni I think held like 12,000 people.
Yeah.
The auditorium only held like 7,000 for wrestling. But the Omni, if you put the same ticket sales, I'm pretty sure they made more money up there.
Oh yeah.
But as far as profitability, they made more money in Greenville because anytime wrestling came here, man, people would every Monday night. People would like foul out because they had intermission back then. It was intermission during the match between like the third or fourth match. They will have intermission. Then people will foul out, and you can go and you can buy yourself some food. Then you buy merchandise and T-shirts and everything like that. It was always lines and lines of people. And like I said, I've been to the Omni and watched wrestling. I was down in Charlotte watching wrestling and stuff like that. People wasn't buying as much merchandise and going out and buying food and stuff like that like they did in Greenville. Yeah. In Greenville, it was just a big show. It was more of a spectacle than it was in some of these places were bigger and they got more concerts and they got more entertainment than we did here. So that's probably one of the reasons. And like I say, down in Atlanta, you had pro sports, which we didn't have pro sports.
You had the Braves and you had the Falcons and all that. Yes.
And like I said, we didn't even have, we had like a semi-pro football team, and I think, and that's about it.
Yeah.
At that time. And that's right.
They wasn't even that big.
Yeah. And I don't think we hadn't even got the Greenville Spinners, the basketball team yet.
No, so that was way later.
So it was a lot, people had a lot more, they had a lot more money in their pockets to spend on something like that, on wrestling. So that's the reason that he made so much money in the Greenville area. So, I understand how Jim Cornette, because, he came out, man, he had the receipts of it, too, of the gate receipts and how much money they was making in Greenville. So, man, that was a great time for wrestling. But back to, man, we got main event. Hogan, he beat Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
And then
he was a made man after that, man.
Yeah. And then, like I said, I know you kept up with him after that. And then he started talking about right after that he started talking about eat your vitamins and say your prayers
man.
And he had captured the imagination of America, man, especially kids, even adults at that time, man, who wasn't watching wrestling or whatever. They liked what this man was preaching to their children and everything. So I know you kind of like kept up with that. Me at that time, man, I was like, it's 84. I was like 17.
Yeah.
So it was like a shock to me. I really couldn't get into it because I had seen Hulk Hogan since like 77, 78.
You saw him back when he was with Freddie Blas. He had hair on his chest and he was a bad guy.
He was a bad guy. So I'm like, who is this guy, man? This guy turned into.
I didn't see him bad until the NWO.
Yeah, right.
That's when I saw him turn bad. And that blew my mind, man. But then as I was like, you know what? This might be all right, man.
Oh, yeah.
When he did the NWO thing and, because he had done almost, about 20, 30 years of being good, man.
Yeah, but,
So, and then you got a whole generation that never saw before when he was bad. But then you see all these years when he was good, and then the NWO come along and he turns, and that shook a core of a lot of people.
Well, it was what's the name actually? Eric Bischoff wanted him to turn a couple years before that when he first came.
Oh wow!
He wanted him to become a heel.
But the time wasn't right though.
Yeah, that's true. But he did tell him. He said, but he was right though. Bischoff was right. Hulkamania was dead. It was when he first came back to. They pushed it. They tried. They pushed it and pushed it.
Yeah.
And he still had his fans and things like that. But it was like when it probably was at a 35% capacity than of what it was back in '84.
Yeah, man.
It just wasn't nowhere near on the Richter scale that it was back then.
Man,
so like I said, you still had your Hulkamaniacs, but you still had those fans, and those fans who grew up with him. They felt betrayed when he did that.
Yeah.
But and then a lot of those people became his fans again.
Exactly.
So it was a great thing that they actually did when they actually did that, man. And like I said, it put him back over the top, and you see what it done for WCW for that short term.
Oh yeah.
You know, it damaged wrestling in the long term. I mean, but for that short term, man, it did great things. So I mean, you came in to wrestling, man, when there was a lot of momentum. The momentum of wrestling, man, was just at its peak when you first came in. I mean, you had Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, man,
World Warriors, America's Team,
Warlord, Barbarian, man, it just and
T.J. Khan,
yeah. But over in WWE, man, you know, Hulk Hogan, you know, he was he had to contend with King Kong Bundy,
Andre.
Yeah, Andre the Giant. Andre was a good guy that night you was watching.
Yeah.
Andre, he teamed up with Tony Atlas and who else? Ivan Putski. I think was it Rocky Soulman Johnson? No, it was Ivan Putski, and they beat the Samoans and Alpha and Sika and the Samoa guy, who I really don't know, but it was another one. Looked just like him. I can't say that.
He probably some kings.
Yeah, but you know, like I said, Hulk Hogan, he went on to feud with Bundy. Then he had the thing with Roddy Piper, Mr. T. You know, a year later,
then basically comes out of that WrestleMania 1.
Yeah, Paul Orndorff and all that. And WrestleMania 1, and the same guy that Chris was talking about, we was talking about who ran Mid-Atlantic, Jim Crockett Promotions. Jim Crockett is the one who bought the time slot from Vince back to get Georgia Championship Wrestling, that time slot, and paid $1 million for it.
Vince pocketed it.
And he bankrolled WrestleMania.
Yep. Because Vince took that $1 million, put the rest of his money with it, and next thing you know, you got WrestleMania 1.
Yes.
And now we at what? WrestleMania. Oh God, what
37, 38? Oh, it's way up there.
Yeah, 30 something.
Yeah, 30, way up there. But when it boils down to it, even though Vince McMahon, you know, I thought about it, and when I seen that and I was reading about that, if Vince McMahon wouldn't have got that money, even though he did get on MTV, he got on NBC and stuff, things like that. If he wouldn't have got that money, man, it wouldn't have. He never would have got where he got to.
And then Piper said something in an interview. He was like, Vince banked everything basically he had on it.
Yeah. Yes.
And he was like, if WrestleMania 1 had not been a huge success, WWE would probably not exist right now.
Yes, and it goes to show you, man, how much money the Crockett's was making just in the territories that he was in.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, he was just in the eastern part of the United States,
and
in the
west
South
he went was Chicago.
Yeah,
he didn't go no further than Chicago.
Right, and it just goes to show how much money that this guy was making. But George Scott was booking this thing. And Vince, he brought a coup, man.
Well,
He ended up getting George Scott.
I think they went about maybe to Texas.
Well, they did go to Texas.
Yeah, they went to Texas, and that was about it.
Shows in Texas, yeah. They used to do some shows in Texas,
and that was it.
But I mean, basically, man, his shows was in the Carolinas, Virginia, Eastern Tennessee,
up to Chicago,
Kentucky, up to Chicago. Pretty much that's what's
and then
in Baltimore.
Yeah,
Baltimore.
Yeah, he didn't go north.
Maryland.
Yeah, he didn't go further north than Baltimore. He stopped at Baltimore. That's where he cut it off at.
Yeah, but man, I mean, he was banking, man. They was making a bunch of money, but he lost it. He lost his vision as far as his vision got off the company as far as how much they were spending when the Horseman came along. So, but Chris, man, I mean that was great, man. Hearing about your experiences in wrestling, man, and what started it.
Got me going, man. Got the snowball going, man, and here I am, almost 40-something years later, and I'm still watching.
Yeah. So that was a great time, man, and if you're on Facebook, you checking us out, you know, hit that like, that share, and if you're on Facebook, go on over to YouTube. To the Straight Up Wrestling page on YouTube and hit like, share, and subscribe, notification. Yeah, that notification bell over there. Even though we know you like to watch it on Facebook, man, but give us some love over there. You know, hit us up with the HBO special. Help a brother out, you know. But go over there and subscribe to us over there on YouTube too, and
spread the word, man.
Yes.
Spread the word to all your wrestling friends and buddies, man.
Yeah, and our next show, man, we're gonna go live on Facebook. We're gonna be live on YouTube, and we're gonna be live on Periscope. On Twitter. So,
check us
so
out
I'm
on
adding that.
Twitter. Yeah,
I'm adding that
got
too.
Twitter, yeah.
So check us out on Twitter. I think it's straight up Wrestle 2. But I mean, you can if you can't remember that, just go there and put Straight Up Wrestling Show, and you'll see us on Twitter. And I'm about to start hitting tweets on there probably every day about something to have something concerning wrestling or something about wrestling. A lot of old school stuff and some things about some new things. So start concentrating more on that account too. So yeah, we'll be running shows on that too. So we'll have three lives going at one time. So so check us out and we appreciate you listening to us.